Hey everyone, it's Spooky, and we're continuing our tradition of reviewing Stadium at the end of each season. What the dev team did right, what they did wrong, what can be improved, and finally, what I'd like to see in the future. Thanks for all the support. I couldn't do what I do without you all, so much love from me to all of you. I'd like to start this video off on a positive note by talking about what went right this season, because man, did the Stadium dev team cook this season. We saw the introduction of 4 new heroes into the Stadium roster, and I think they handled them better than I expected. I had high hopes for Brig in Season 18, and I was pleased to see that she was actually a ton of fun. They gave her plenty of abilities and powers to highlight the fun parts about her, like Chain Extender, God Ray, Shield Throw, Dragon's Incinerator, while also giving her options to become a solid healer through Optimizer Pack Stacker and, of course, AP scaling. Obviously, there were some cheesy parts about her shield bash build that made it annoying to play against, but it wasn't overly oppressive, and the team responding, they responded very quickly to those concerns, so we saw that fixed pretty quick. Winston was kind of a mixed bag the first few weeks. I couldn't really pinpoint whether he was a must pick or he was a throw pick, and I've got to say, to this day, I still couldn't tell you. Winston's performance relies completely on how well of a build someone has, combined with their mechanical skills and game knowledge, which I believe is a good thing to have in a competitive game like Stadium. He's fun to play with and against, and he's fit into the Stadium roster much better than I anticipated. Pharah. Oh, God. All right, Pharah was an interesting hero this season. She dropped very underwhelmingly into Stadium games, as players were not too familiar with how to play her optimally. So there was a lot of hit scans in the game already, and people just weren't picking her because she was just getting knocked out so quick. So after a couple weeks, I was already convinced she was a terrible pick, but the Stadium community, like they do, quickly discovered her AP Lifesteal Barrage build was extremely powerful. And soon, all I saw in my higher elo games was Pharahs on both teams running the same exact builds. It quite literally was the worst week and a half of Stadium I have played so far. Fortunately, the dev team was able to drop a hotfix for lifesteal and brought Pharah back in line to a healthy Stadium roster. Now, as mid-season approached, I was becoming very nervous about Tracer being launched. With how oppressive she can be in normal watch, I was very concerned that giving her the ability to scale her damage and health would just make good Tracer players even more unstoppable. Now, I have to admit, which I don't do often, that I was wrong, and she actually dropped as a decently balanced hero. That was also fun to play. There were some issues with her health scaling, which I noticed pretty quickly, and of course, a certain recall bug that we're not going to mention here that caused some issues for a couple days. But like we've been seeing, the dev team was really quick to remove Tracer and fix those issues, which I actually really appreciated. Now, what I didn't expect to be such a smash hit this season was the brand new mode, Payload Race. I thought it was gonna be another flop mode that couldn't live up to the Overwatch classics, but Payload Race quickly became my favorite mode in Stadium. 2 beautiful maps and an extremely in-depth objective strategy mode was just what Stadium need. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just what I needed. I love the mode. Maybe it's my kind of taste in maps, but it's been great. It's my favorite mode now, and man, I get excited when I see either of the maps come up. I'm very excited to see more Payload maps in the future. Maybe even a normal watch too. Fingers crossed. Now that I've talked about the good, let's dive right into the bad. Matchmaking. Since Stadium dropped back in April, matchmaking has been extremely hit or miss. At first, I was okay with it because it was a new mode and they wanted to keep queue times down. But man, after 6 months and we're still getting games where silver players are being grouped with GM players, it really can tank the quality of matches in an extremely obvious way. There is no worse feeling than having completely different mindsets when it comes to Overwatch in your team, and I don't think it's fun or fair to be matching games like this. I'm really hoping now that we have Quickplay, the Stadium team will be more inclined to make the competitive mode a little more competitive. I know it's not as easy as it sounds, but man, I can't help but wonder how amazing this mode can be once it feels like the ladder is actually worth climbing. And speaking of climbing ladders, let's talk about the ranking system. Stadium ranks are an indicator of one thing and one thing only: playtime. Your matches are not based on your Stadium rank at all. This is why we see so many players complaining about being legend and they have a teammate in rookie. They are cosmetic ranks only, and most of your games are going to be matched based on MMR, and a very wide MMR at that. Now, I assume these are to encourage people to play more and feel a constant feeling of like progression as they play. Effective, yes, but also extremely short-sighted. This leads to people of all skills being able to be in legend, which peels back the veil kind of on it being a like competitive mode. I hoped last season that they would fix it for season 18, but man, did we get the same bowl of soup served to us this season. But at least we got Quickplay, and Quickplay was still kind of a mixed bag of feelings for me. On one hand, it was great to be able to quickly try out builds in a more casual and quicker paced way. And on the other, it felt like there were tons of scaling issues with heroes and credits that made it feel like it wasn't getting the true Stadium experience by playing Quickplay. After a couple weeks, this led me to testing out builds during competitive again because Quickplay just wasn't cutting it with consistency. However, Quickplay proved to still be extremely fun and fulfilled its purpose for a more quick and casual way to experience Stadium, so I gotta give them props for that. And that leads me to my final predictions and wants for the coming season. First, I think the launch of the new heroes Sojourn, Hazard, and Torb are going to introduce some early problems for Stadium players. Sojourn has always been a problem child since she can quickly become overpowered when she receives any kind of buff to her railgun. And I think Stadium might enable some early runaway power to her one-shot. Hazard is most likely going to have an extremely annoying damage mitigation build that will feel like you can shoot into him forever without seeing a tick of damage. And Torb will most likely have an insane turret build that will constantly be able to apply debuffs like Cyber Venom and Liquid Nitrogen to a whole enemy team. Hoping that I'm wrong about these. Again, these are just predictions. And from what we've seen from the Stadium team is that my predictions aren't always correct. They're less correct than they normally are with Normal Watch, which is really cool to see, because that means the dev team is a lot different from the normal Overwatch team and how they approach things, which is really keeping me on my toes. So fingers crossed we don't see those things run away early on, but again, if they are, hopefully they fix them quickly. Next up, I think the competitive system will most likely not change. They might make the MMR of matches a little bit tighter to make the games more engaging. But as far as the progression system, I don't see them having any reason to change it, since it will negatively affect most players' rank. And let's be honest, they're mental as well, which could turn them away from the game. Part of the reason why I think a progression system like this is very short-sighted, because eventually you're going to have to rip off that band-aid and show people their ugly their ugly real ranks. And I think most players, probably including myself as well, are going to be lower than what they're used to, and that could just, be perceived negatively, or that could have a lot of emotional impact on players, and then, they turn away from the game. So it's kind of like this ticking time bomb. It's like you either make it a real competitive early on and kind of just rip off that band-aid, or you do it later on and just deal with a bunch of angry people. Finally, the new gadgets that they announced. These are going to be most likely a really refreshing new way to customize your character, and will create even more variations of builds for all the heroes, which in my opinion is what Stadium is all about. I was extremely excited to see this in the new season reveal. There'll probably be some OP items, but I expect the dev team to fix all these issues once they get some early data from players. So that is all my predictions, and that is also all for me today. Again, my name is Spooki. You can come hang out with me live here on YouTube or over at twitch.tv/Spooki Show with an I. And I'll see you in the next season of Stadium, everybody. All right? Oh, also, before I go, make sure to go check out our limited time t-shirts to celebrate Spooky season. The Spooky Bash 2025 t-shirts are available in my shop until November 1st. So grab yours if you'd like to support these videos and get a matching t-shirt with me. I got the purple one. It's really cool. I love wearing it. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.